Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here. Thanks to the MarkLogic team for hosting this, and the opportunity to share ideas is exciting. So I'm going to talk to you about, as Bill said, the it's a health and life sciences program for security readiness and protecting against breaches. And it's an open industry collaboration that we have, as Bill said, 114 participating organizations, and it's growing all the time. And it's something, as Bill said, where you will have the ability to compare yourself against peers in your industry and against the industry as a whole. And you'll also be able to measure your priorities, your maturity, and the capabilities that you've implemented against those same peers and that same benchmark set. And so it was started for HLS health and life sciences organizations, but I want to point out from the start, because there's going to be a lot of focus on health and life sciences, that this can be applied to other industries, and we can build momentum around. We're seeing this around financial services, say, and the public sector as well. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. This is fairly well established already for health and life sciences. So what we have here are concerns that were based on research done by Intel across our global account base for health and life sciences, and it's showing their top priorities and concerns for healthcare from a privacy and security perspective. Ransomware is at number one, ransomware and breaches and the mitigation of those. But regulatory compliance shows up at 3. It's still a concern to address this, but it's being eclipsed somewhat. Industry organizations are starting to see that they really need to go beyond just compliance, and that's why ransomware has jumped to the fore. It's very disruptive, and it is something that is on the top of mind from a lot of organizations. Privacy and security is limiting. This is something where these organizations are really not implementing new technologies because of privacy and security concerns. So let's say you wanted to migrate your database to the cloud. It's something that they're either they're not doing or doing in a limited sense because they're saying these privacy and security concerns are too risky. So, so these are the concerns that we looked at as a health and life sciences organization within Intel, and it has really motivated us to put together this program to address breaches and security concerns. And so that's what this program's about, and this is where we started. So I'm going to give you really a lot of detailed information about it now. The impact of the breaches is obviously the most top of mind. Breaches and ransomware are extremely impactful to organizations. They're really abnormally disruptive. So in 2016, the paid ransoms are estimated at over $1 billion US. So again, costly, extremely disruptive. This can be causing customers or patients to leave an organization. You know, it tarnishes reputations. And it can also be somewhat of a patient, you know, not somewhat, it can actually be a patient safety concern. And we saw this just last Friday. So, I mean, I didn't make this has just happened the other day. Worldwide, this WannaCry ransomware came out, and it impacted a large the National Health Service in the UK, you know, and so they were actually sending patients away. So, big concern. We're seeing that we can't just, you know, take that wait and see approach anymore. We need to take a more proactive approach to addressing breaches and ransomware. So compliance, I don't want to minimize that. We still need to take care of our compliance with regulations, data protection laws, security framework standards. That is all very important still, and you need to do that. But when we are seeing that you need to go beyond that. When you implement all of these security standards, you still don't have an idea of where you stand in relation to the other organizations in your industry. So that's what this program can help you with, is understanding where you stand in comparison to your peers in the industry. So how far do you need to go to address these gaps? That's the question that comes to mind next. Like we understand we need to address it. So, sorry. So what you need to do, so the problem with breaches in ransomware is that they're very opportunistic. So they're going to go after those organizations that are vulnerable and are not protected. They're kind of lagging the industry. So you'll see what they'll do is they'll just send out phishing attacks that are, really untargeted. They don't care really where you are, who you are, or what your focus is. If you are infected with their ransomware, then you're required to pay the price, and they'll ask you to pay, and you may pay, and you may or may not get your assets back. So that's some place you really don't want to go. You want to actually prevent it before it happens, so you don't have to fall into the abyss of trying to recover from that. So how does your security compare? That's something that we want to help you with this program. So this is a way of measuring your capabilities, your priorities, your maturity against peers in the industry. And it's going beyond that data compliance and how you're meeting the data protection laws. It's complementary to that. So we're not saying stop doing the data compliance. We're saying add this to what you're doing for security, and this can help you with understanding where you are. It can also get a report of that, where you're lagging, and this is a report that you can then use to go back to your stakeholders. So you can show this to them, like we have a gap. This is what the security capabilities associated with this gap, that we've prioritized addressing ransomware as a high priority in our organization. And here it shows that we're behind other organizations in our region and in our focus area. And so we can use this to rally support, to get budget and resources. We can also use it as an input to making decisions going forward, because we're going to have a really good idea of what's working, what's not, and where the gaps are. So the workshop itself is 1 hour, complimentary, fully secure. We're not going to share this information with anyone. So Intel offers this to our partners and anybody in the health and life sciences organizations that's processing patient information. And MarkLogic is also a partner in this, as Bill said, and they're going to be offering these assessments as well. So before we leave this slide, I want to bring your attention to this picture of the herd. So the herd of animals, they're going to know who's at the back. They're going to know who's relatively vulnerable. And they're going to know who's being pursued and who is being caught. But unfortunately, we're not able to see that in healthcare. So this is where this program can step in and help. We can help you understand where you are. If you've done all the compliance activities, you're still sitting there going, well, I don't know how I'm doing. So this is a program that can actually provide that to you, and we'll provide reports that are very detailed. I'm going to go through all those with you and show you what you actually will learn out of this. So this is information you can take to your stakeholders, and it's quite beneficial. Okay, so that's what it's about, and I'm going to start going through what the reports are and what is provided to you out of this program. So you can see here we have, and this is updated just as of yesterday, 114 organizations participating worldwide across 9 countries. And these organizations are health and life sciences, payer, provider, pharmaceutical companies, life sciences. And the data is of a very high quality. It's not just a survey that stood up on the internet and you can go out and just come across it and start entering information. This is data where the assessors that are putting the information in are security assessors that have been vetted by the Intel Health and Life Sciences organization and our partners. And so you're going to have a high quality data. The other thing that they're doing is they're able to go in once they make changes and upgrade their security. They can go in and provide that updated information about what they're, the progress they're making on their security. So we're hopefully going to see some up-leveling of the industry here. So it's very high quality, and that's going to be important because you're going to want to make decisions based on this data that you get back. And so you want to have a high confidence in what we're gathering. So this is, so we talked about priorities and concerns earlier, and that was gathered from the Intel client base. But now this is what's coming out of that 114 organizations. And so you can see that we're still seeing that ransomware is the top concern. It's very disruptive, and it's tough to recover from. So this is the top concern. So to give you an idea of how the rankings work, if everyone that participated in the assessment and the global aggregated results had marked this as their top priority as high, the percentage would show as 100%. So at 85%, the majority of the organizations are putting this as their top priority. Cybercrime hacking is still very important as well. That's ranked second, and good to see that it's losing some of the focus in the media because of the ransomware coming to the fore, but it's still up here as a top priority. Insider accidents or workarounds is another breach type that this program is addressing. This is still, it's important to keep in mind that not every attack comes from the outside, and it's not from a malicious outsider every time. Sometimes things happen where good intention health and life sciences employees are putting data in emails that are not protected and putting them in the clouds where they are not supposed to be. And things like this, accidental breaches can occur. So we're measuring capabilities that protect you against that and this type of breach. And these are 8 types of breaches that are assessed in this assessment workshop. And I'll bring you down to malicious insiders or fraud is another one that's good to keep in mind. This is where we want to trust our employees, but sometimes things happen where employees become disgruntled, and so MarkLogic actually has a lot of features in their database platform that can help with protecting you against these kinds of breaches. So we'll get into more of that, but this is what the industry results show. And so here already we can see now industry results of priorities as a global aggregate. Okay, so now it's getting interesting, I think. So we've got, this is a report that comes out of the assessment. You'll see this is at an industry level for all 114 organizations. This one, don't add it up because this might be from the time we measured it from 100. But what you can see here, this is for one of the breach types, right? So we're going to have this report for 8 different breach types. This is for ransomware readiness. And on the bottom, you've got these percentages, and what that represents is the level of implementation that these global, across all industries, of their implementation of the capabilities that are protecting them against ransomware breaches. And so you may think of ransomware can be, one thing that can protect you from that is doing backup and restore, which is definitely one of the capabilities that would protect you against that. So that's something you would want to have in place. And that's a great one to have. It's a key one, but it's just one. It really, you're still going to be disrupted in the fact that it occurred, and you're going to have to lose something from the last backup. So this is what, keep in mind, that's one of the types of capabilities that we're measuring here. So you've got one organization, let's say on the bottom, there's two of them. They've only implemented 15% of those capabilities. There's 20 of them for ransomware. And so they're lagging along with several others down here. They're behind this curve. And so this is where we're now seeing, this is one of the key reasons, or validation for this strategy, is that there are laggers in this. And so there are people that need to know that they're falling behind and that they're relatively vulnerable to attacks. And so we also have, it's a huge spectrum. We have 2 at 90%, and they're leading the herd. So there's a widespread, and what we want to do is provide the value to those that are really straggling and really help them remediate where they are. So we'll help them see what capabilities they're missing and work with them to up-level their security and pull them into a place of safety and really improve their security overall. So that's the goal, and this report really demonstrates the value. So and we're getting into the details now. This is the security maturity matrix, and here you're seeing I was talking about capabilities. So here's all the capabilities that we are measuring across the 8 breach types, and they're organized in 3 tiers: baseline, enhanced, and advanced. And for each capability, we have a percentile level, and this is a global aggregate number for all the organizations participating. So if we look at policy, 78% of all the organizations have implemented this capability. So it's a rough estimate based on, did they fully implement it or partially implement it or not implement it at all. So you can see as the tiers go up, you have less full implementation and more of the didn't implement it at all and partial. So.
Would you agree, that security is a pretty broad topic, right? And there's a lot of things you could do, right? But I think what this popular program is, it allows people to focus in on the critical 1 or 2 things. You don't have infinite time or resources to do things. You can focus in a couple of key things. And I think what's important about this report is because it's independently sourced and things like that, this can then become a business justification for why you're going to do 1 or 2 of these 3 things, right? And then this gives you that progressive roadmap to be able to eventually turn everything green, right? To me, it provokes a good, healthy discussion. Have you seen that with the clients or things that people that have been involved with this?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great way to identify what you need to focus on. So you get a better idea because you're seeing where you stand relative to your peers. So the other thing that I find really interesting is that as a global industry, healthcare is somewhat thought of as lagging, but it's not a totally bad story. You see a lot of green here. There are areas where it's strong. There's areas where we're weak. And you can tell exactly what those areas are. And knowing that, you can make better decisions going forward, that this is an area actually that we're pretty strong. This is an area where we're weak. You can see the actual results. So that's really useful. And I also want to dig into a little bit more about each of the competencies. So these capabilities are really competencies. They're not products. And so these are, and they're covering a broad array of things, not just technology. You've got policy, which is administrative. You've got endpoint device encryption, which is a technology-based capability. And then you've also got things like secure disposal. That's a physical capability. So, and then all of them have 3 dimensions to them of people, process, and the technology. So when we do the assessment, we're really, digging in, and we're making sure that you really understand that it's not just about buying a piece of software. It's also about putting the people and the process around it to make sure it's really effective.
Before you move on to this,
You like this one?
since you have somebody from product in the room, so the good news is MarkLogic does all of this. Kidding.
I have that.
So, so the interesting thing about MarkLogic being a partner is, not only do we want to be a partner versus a vendor, we want to be that strategic source. We want to help identify this, but obviously we don't cover everything that's on the sheet. Things that we cover around logging, access, data sharing, things like that. So we can help you overlay. So some of those things we had trouble could be MarkLogic. So where does this lead into MarkLogic? Especially MarkLogic 9, it leads into like a security 360 type of thing. So if you're an existing MarkLogic customer, this could be an additional use case. Like, oh, of course I can take logs from multiple different security tools, pump it into MarkLogic, and then be able to learn off of it, right? So again, I just want to be clear that we're not boiling the ocean. These are some things that Wendy's did a nice job of.
There's the highlights.
See how we've overlaid it. Those are the good ones.
Okay.
So again, it's about logging, access, and other different things. But so we have a little bit in each category from baseline to advanced from left to right. But I think the main thing is this is initial use case for your existing customer.
Whoops.
If you're a new customer, or if you're new to MarkLogic and you're intrigued by it, this could be a potentially high value place to start. Right? It doesn't necessarily have a lot of big business impact. So I mean, it has financial business impact, but it doesn't necessarily interrupt some of the transaction flow types of things.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're going to dig into the details of what MarkLogic provides. Yep.
That's what happens. I don't.
No, we definitely are. No, there are a lot of capabilities that MarkLogic can help you address. So I'll try to get through this part quickly and get to the good stuff.
I was just trying to do the bridge.
So here, these are the results that you're going to get out of the report. This one's showing your maturity comparison, and you can see here, this is now we're getting into what the particular organization is going to get out of it. We've got this sort of fictional organization, Star Healthcare, and their maturity, they look pretty good. You can see they're in the yellow in their comparison against the global industry. So you get this against the global industry, but also you'll get it against your peers. So the peers would be similar location, similar size, and a similar focus. So if you're a healthcare provider in the US of a medium size, you're going to get a report that shows your comparison against other healthcare providers in the US medium size. This one gives a really great look of how your organization stacks up in terms of priority and readiness. So, and kind of an overall lead into the results. So across those 8 breach types, what comes out of the assessment is that they are choosing themselves, do I place these breach types as a high priority or not? And then so priority means they're allocating resources and time to combating this. So this is something that their organization is spending time on. And then we can highlight quickly if they're prioritizing higher than the industry or lower than the industry. So these results show up here. And also we're showing a readiness level. That's over on the far right. That's your assessment of capabilities that you've implemented that are related to each of these different breach types. Right away we see red, which is indicating that you're lagging the herd. Black means you're on par with the industry benchmark set, and green means you're leading there. So we see that cybercrime hacking, that this organization is falling behind the pack. They've also prioritized this as a high priority for them. So this is something they want to be working on. It's an interactive report. Click in on cybercrime and hacking, and then you can see exactly which capabilities you're missing, where you're lacking, and what you need to consider going forward and making your plans to address that. Okay, so back to this ransomware readiness diagram, but in this case now we're seeing our fictional organization and where they stand. So they're in the middle of the pack, they're in a pretty good spot, but they can see this for every breach type, whether they're in the laggers or whether they're at the top with the leaders of the pack. So 15 other organizations at this readiness level. So that's something you're going to get for each of the different breach types. You also will get a detailed list, and this is back to all the capabilities across the various maturity levels, baseline, enhanced, and advanced. We're indicating that you have it in green, partially present in yellow, absent in red, and then you've got the alert signs that are showing this is a spot where you're lagging the industry as well, whether or not you have it. You're also seeing a green exclamation point, and that's where your security assessor, Intel or your security assessor, can put together a plan for you to address the breach gaps. And so these are areas where your security assessor can go through somebody like MarkLogic and say, these are things that you should look at. I mean, there's when you get the entire list, there could be quite a few of gaps. These are all gaps. There'll be a list, and don't be alarmed, but there could be 10, 15 to 20 gaps when you get done with this. And so it's ranked here based on the number of breaches that this capability is helping you address. Also, if you're lagging the industry, and also whether or not you've not implemented it at all or just implemented it partially. So you've got a lot going on. You're going to get a lot of feedback back. So we definitely, we're not telling you what to do here. We're providing information, and we really recommend working with your assessor to come up with that action plan for your organization. Okay, so let's see, where are we next? So then also for each capability, you're going to get this detailed report of each of the capabilities. So this is user awareness training, and we're providing a description, a link to outside resources. There's also a section here for notes. So when you're going through that assessment process as the assessor, the security assessor for your organization, put in some notes there that because this is going to go to your stakeholders to rally support. So you can put in some specific things like, this is something that I've been talking about, or this happened the other day, and you can actually put in your own notes specific to your organization, and that'll show up in the report. We've also got here links to your action plan, and then the mapping and traceability. And this is to regulations and data protection laws and security standard frameworks. We're not talking or measuring really compliance here, but what you see here for Star Healthcare, they're in the middle. They're roughly on par with 33% of the industry for this capability, and that's okay. But if you look here, almost half of the industry has fully implemented this capability. And so you're actually lagging. So then if you look at this, I'm lagging, and you decide to implement it, you're not only going to be addressing and closing some of the gaps for breach security, but you're going to be also improving your compliance. So, and this is where this is some of the information you can use to get support from your stakeholders to implement these types of improvements for your security. Okay, so this is for you, Bill. These are the mark. We're here. No, we're there. We're not jumping. We're right there. We're going to get into all the MarkLogic details now. So, so you're going to be finding some capabilities where you're lacking, and really we want to talk today. We're here with MarkLogic. We want to talk about how they can help you assess, address data level security concerns. Okay, so let's go through. There's 3 that are for baseline security. Backup and restore is key, obviously, because you need to be able to restore your data if you are hacked with ransomware. So MarkLogic provides really flexible capabilities for backup and for replication. They also make their backups very secure because you can encrypt them all. They're encrypting the log files, config files, databases, and the backups themselves. So that actually kind of dovetails with another capability. So, what we're showing here is that this is something that's been implemented by a lot of the industry with the 79% in green. That means most health and life sciences organizations have implemented identity and access management. And that's important to do that because, I mean, you have to limit the access to secure applications and to secure data. So MarkLogic provides that. They adhere to that principle with providing authentication, authorization, and auditing. They also combine it with role-based access to be able to do like a separation of concerns of duties. So you've got your sysadmin, it doesn't need to see the things the security guy sees. That's awesome. That they've got these great capabilities there. They also do this automatic secure indexing of data, which is great. So all data access is protected by this, and this allows, and if you combine that with the role-based access, you can close some of those back doors. Like a system administrator doesn't really need to see everybody's social security number when he's looking through and doing his job. So you can redact that information. They've got a lot of really nice capabilities here. I could go on, but I have only a few more minutes. Another baseline capability, audit and compliance. MarkLogic provides great auditing capabilities. They are doing this in a fine-grained fashion. I'm going to keep going. Server and database backup and encryption. We kind of talked about this already. You can encrypt the database and the backups, and you can also do that in a really fast manner because they're running these on Intel servers that provide you with AES-NI encryption acceleration. So it is something really that is helping encrypt data in places you never were able to do that before. So that's another capability that MarkLogic gives you. And they've also got really powerful key management capabilities as well. So really great stuff. Threat intelligence, this is now we're getting into the advanced capabilities. They've got this way of identifying threats as entities, and then in your database when you've got your other entities for your business like patients, facilities, and things like that, you can see the relationships between the threats and the other business entities and really get some correlation information that gives you threat intelligence. So that's a really great feature to have. The other thing, and this is awesome, that they are one of 6 database vendors that has common criteria certification, which is a high-level government certification for database. This is a really great thing that they are offering, but they also go beyond that. They're able to run in secure government environments. So this is security level approval that is, that's now something that applies to all enterprise organizations that are using the MarkLogic. So this is really great stuff. Activity monitoring, this again ties into the compliant or the auditing that MarkLogic provides. They can tell you who accessed what, when, where, why, and they're auditing, code execution, access changes, who's looking at data, all kinds of things that you're going to be able to get real insight into what's going on. And these can all help you with preventing breaches. So this last one is my favorite, de-identification and anonymization. And here this kind of is what we talked about with protecting the information with that, the automatic indexing. So what we can do here with MarkLogic is when data is requested from another application, before it's sent out, we don't send out that social security number, they. Instead, we redact the first 5 numbers. Now the information that's getting sent to that outside application or even another application within your organization, that application now doesn't have any sensitive data. So it doesn't need to be considered when you're doing your auditing and your compliance assessments. You can keep that one out of it. It never gets any secure data. And so that can save you money on those compliance audits. So it's really great stuff that they're offering. All right, so just recap, this is we're offering this for free. It's a way to measure your maturity, your security against peers in the industry, to really get a good idea of where you stand in comparison to peers so that you can go to your stakeholders and use this information to rally support for budget and resources to address gaps. And We can do this. It takes 1 hour. It's secure. It's complimentary. What else do we have for you? It's something that can be done one-on-one. We can do it in a group. It can be done over the phone. It can be done in person. You can work with your assessor, MarkLogic, or Intel to do this. So I have the frequently asked questions. Yeah, yes, it's really just 1 hour because we're only covering the 8 breach types. And yes, it's really free. We don't charge. There's no obligation to buy any products out of this. This is for your information, and we benefit as an industry as a whole because we're seeing more of what's going on across the board in the industry. No PII is collected. It's just strictly a kind of a questionnaire type process where we're going to be asking you to rate things on a high, medium, and low type basis. So we'll only have your name associated with this information, and that in itself, that we're gathering this information about your organization, is something that needs to be kept secure. It's kept encrypted. It's encrypted in transit, and we only provide the key out of band. We can set up NDAs if we need to ahead of time. And so you have this concise summary of the program, and we also have the info.marklogic.com site where you can go look at that report again, and there's contacts on there for requesting to set up a workshop. You could contact Intel as well. We are doing those workshops as well at intel.com. Security Readiness is another link that we have. What else do you have, Bill?
So Wendy, I was just going to say, there's a lot of complementary things between MarkLogic 9 and the Security Assessment Program. So I did want to tease out that chip technology with Intel, they built into the chip. It manifests itself in the database, and so basically, if you call it chip up to the database, and now will allow you maybe to challenge some of the things you've been doing about. One of the common things that's been going on in Emron and Mohammed, who are solution engineers in the back in healthcare. Things where you used to build all this security in the application, and then you have to do all this application level stuff. We're hoping after you see this will allow you to maybe challenge that old way of doing things in the application tier, bringing it into the database tier, and have the confidence that a MarkLogic combination of an Intel chip and MarkLogic database will give you all the security that you need, and that's a better way to manage that security. Billy Sokol, our CTO of global CTO for security, who is here, wanted me to mention there's actually 3 things that we're working with Intel to include on the scorecard that they don't currently include today that MarkLogic 9 does. Jim, keep me honest on this. It's coming from the CTO, it's not coming from the sales guy. It's data element access controls and security at the data element level. That's 1. 2 is the ability to implement traffic light protocol, compliant data sharing. And his comment is back to that survival slide that Wendy showed earlier, that your ability to share data is what's going to determine the ultimate level of survival. Third thing is expression of advanced persistent threats as entities and capture of the relationships between them to key business entities such as patients, employees, accounts, facilities. Do you want to complement or extend that in any way?
I think Wendy kind of touched upon those in your presentation.
Mm-hmm.
We covered them? Okay. Yeah, I thought maybe some of those wove themselves
I think
together.
the wording was just slightly different than John.
Yeah, I know Billy said he wanted to attend, could, but had sent that to me in advance. So if I repapered those.
Did those make sense? Because we've got the expert Jim here. He can really dig into it.
Do you guys have any questions, or what do you think about this program? It's new. What is the need for peer-based information on this? Is this something that, is this something that
Does it resonate?
you need? Is this a must-have or a nice-to-have? Give us some feedback.
But I just made a comment from a MarkLogic perspective. So as we wrote showing MarkLogic 9, which has been out for a few weeks, we've been on the road with it. Seems like a long time. But every customer we met with and kind of gave an overview, there's a lot in MarkLogic 9 as you have seen this week. I'd say 70 or 80% of the engagements were focused on security features. I mean, it is foremost in at least our customer and prospects' minds right now. And the ransomware thing, very strange timing on that. But
Yeah. I know, I was sitting and reading the paper on Saturday morning, like, I have been preparing for MarkLogic, and look, I should have put the picture up there.
So 114 engagements you guys have?
Today, Health and Life Sciences Organization, and we expect that to triple by the end of the year, and it's true. I mean, just like you said, every time you look at it, it's another it's another number.
My question, looking at the list, it looks like the descriptions were very generic, not vertical specific. What's the thought about moving into other sectors like financial services?
Right, absolutely. Definitely financial services is one where we're starting to see some momentum, and the public sector. So really all it would take is getting, kind of somewhat of a quorum to get started. So start with like a group so that you could get some baseline results, and then, and start going. Once it starts going, it does gain momentum because they're finding it's very valuable to see. I mean, no one's going to tell you, and this isn't sharing, I don't know who's done it, particularly. You don't have to give up who you are and where you are in a way that people can trace back to you. So it really is it's a nice way to be able to share that information.
Jim, we just have to get them to run the program on MarkLogic database.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I assume all this data is
Of course it is. It is today.
because it's secure.
When GDRP, if those of you who are working with global organizations, I know that's been of great interest to our European customers, that it is or will soon be included in our board.
Data protection for that is so as a traceability factor. But yes, that probably should be added there.
It is. I saw it on the earlier slide, but I just want to call it out.
Mhm.
GDRP.
Yeah, the gentleman behind this was putting that into these estimates, so that's available.
And if you have comments when you go through this, I think this is it's intended to be a living and to make it applicable for the vertical. So I think Intel and MarkLogic are both interested if you go through this, what's your input if something's not covered, you want to include it, or you maybe want the next time people go back around and you want to capture some things. So, keep in mind, it takes time to get into the report and then get the baseline going, like you described. But
For a new industry, yes.
we're
Yeah.
by no means saying this is everything. I think this is a good start.
Yeah, I really invite you to participate if you're working in a health and life sciences organization. If you're working in another industry, we really like to hear because I think we're keeping track. So when we do get a consensus, get those other organizations online. Yeah.
Thank you guys for being a good partner and teaming with us on this very important topic.
Thank you, Bill. This has been great. I really appreciate the chance to do this. It's been awesome. Thank you. So yeah, we've got contacts here if you have other questions.